what I should say is everybody should be praying for Sharon. Sharon's not feeling well. She could definitely use our prayers. Miss her terrible, and just she'd like to be here. She's just not feeling well. She's going through a tough period of time, and definitely could keep her in your prayers, guys. All right. This is nasty stuff. This goes on. In the English, it goes on and it says on the left, it says, or the wife finds that the husband is impotent or that his penis, again, has been severed. The agreement may be annulled when the defect occurs after making a marriage agreement, except when a husband's impotence occurs after he's had sexual relations with his wife, in which case the annulment is no longer possible. Why? Because you have to wait and find out if a child's produced. Oh, so now she has a waiting period of time. But if she finds out before they've had intercourse, which means you guys should wait till you're married anyways. Keep it in your pants, right? Not that he could do anything about it because he's impotent. Wait, again, if he's impotent, maybe that he could use those little blue pills. I don't know. Gosh, it's just so disgusting here. They're divorce. They're annulling their marriage based on this. I mean,
I've got one question.
Okay.
Why was he wearing a suit? This is people are like, what are you talking about? Why was he wearing a suit? Well, if he's gonna be impotent, might as well look impotent. Sorry, that meant to be a joke.
Oh my gosh, that's I haven't heard that one. Wow, that works.
The 70s, I think, the 80s, something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, it comes back. All right, gosh. Wow. Can you? I mean, they were at war all the time. I can imagine coming home and the woman looks at her husband who has like 4 wives, and he's no longer able to make them happy. Can all 4 wives divorce him? Oh, the answer would be yes. Here's the catch. What happens to those 4 wives? Are they supposed to support themselves? He's probably happier that way. I mean, it's not like he can. This is just bad. I don't know. He wouldn't have to support the 4 women, but if they divorce him, is there a guarantee they will be able to be cared for? And that's the other opposite sounding horrible thing there. All right, here we go again. M7.2. Would you like to read, Nico?
Sure.
All right.
When marriage is annulled before sexual intercourse, the woman does not receive her marriage payment, mar, no matter whether the defect is in her or him, as opposed to divorce before sexual intercourse, as discussed in M8.7. When a marriage is annulled after intercourse because of a defect that occurred after it, the full marriage payment stipulated by their agreement must be paid to her. When a marriage is annulled after sexual intercourse because of a defect that occurred before intercourse, whether simultaneously with the marriage agreement or after it, but before intercourse. Okay. Then
Is that contradictory?
Yeah.
Are we getting? Yeah.
All schematic, like engineering kind of thing here again.
Yeah. The if-then tree. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the bride is only given the amount typically received as marriage payment by similar brides. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. In Google Translate, it says, if the annulment occurred before consummation, then there's no dowry. All right. So she doesn't get paid. Her parents don't get paid. Right. Whether the defect was with her or with him. Either way, he gets his money back, basically. Or after it is far away, it happens after intercourse, so deafness is required. That doesn't exactly make sense. All right. Or the annulment was due to a defect that occurred before consummation. Whether it was a concurrent with a contract. I mean, then this is just, they're thinking about the money they're paying for the bride. Yeah. Oh, another wonderful piece here. Also not translated. This is disgusting. If he stipulates that she was free and she turned out to be a slave girl, he is one of those for whom it is permissible to marry a slave girl. So again, we have the slave. He has a girl he believes he was kind of interested in. He finds out she's a slave girl. Now he can marry the slave girl. He has a choice. If he stipulates that she was a slave girl and she turns out to be free, wait. Can he make her free? Can he make her a slave girl then? Oh boy. And she did not, and turns out to be a slave. Okay. He did not stipulate, and she turned out to be a slave girl or a woman of the people of the book. Oh, she could be Christians or Jews. He has no choice. If a slave marries a slave girl and she is freed, she has the right to annul his marriage immediately without a judge. Guys, they're saying Islam allows them to annul, to basically create the divorce, to end a marriage of non-Muslims. But we're talking about, I mean, if a Muslim, let's put this as simple as it, if she turned out to be a slave girl or a woman of the people of the book, all right, this just allows an annulment if he finds out she is a Christian. And he didn't know it beforehand. That's reason for him to annul a marriage. I'm going to say this, Christians should be dating Christians. All right, and they should be waiting till marriage. If you're thinking you can marry a Muslim man and bring him to Christ, you're not being a good Christian, because you're supposed to be equally yoked. You're both supposed to be, and guys, I'll put it as simple as this: your job's to provide. I'm going to be as selfish as I can in this explanation. Your job is to provide, not to be a leech off of her. You're not supposed to be using her for that. Yes, she can make more money than you, but think about it. That doesn't really matter. You should be doing something to provide. And that's important. Wow. Notice they got rid of all this. They didn't translate it up here because they're talking about slaves. And they mentioned a slave girl or a woman of the people of the book. That means she could be a free woman, but she would be a dhimmi. And she would be forced to listen and obey them. That's what dhimmis have to do. They have to obey their Muslim masters. Yeah. This is just disgusting. All right. Nico, M7.4 on the left, please.
Okay. If any of the following occurs before intercourse has taken place, then the marriage is immediately annulled. 1. One of a couple who are idlers become a Muslim.
Wait.
Yeah.
If a Muslim is about to marry another Muslim, and if you have two people, they're getting married. You have two people who do not like Islam getting married, and one of them becomes a Muslim. Nope, now you're not allowed to get married. because you can't have the female, especially, marrying a non-Muslim. So either way, okay. All right, go ahead, Nico. Who's the next one here?
Yeah, that's and all right. So number 2, one of the Zoroastrian couple becomes a Muslim. 3, the wife of a Jew or Christian becomes a Muslim. 4, both husband and wife leave Islam. Or 5, or one of them leaves Islam. One of them does.
Mm-hmm.
But when one of the above things happens after intercourse, then a waiting period must intervene before the marriage is annulled. If both husband and wife become Muslim before the waiting period finishes, then their marriage continues. And if not, then the marriage is considered to have been over since the change of religion first took place.
So they're using the word annul. Annul is usually something before intercourse. And that's something to think about. They're saying they can end a marriage of between two non-Muslims simply because they're non-Muslim. And if one of them becomes a Muslim before marriage, they can end the marriage. Even if, I mean, these are third parties allowed. Notice up on the 7.4 on the top, it's on the left, it said, if one of the following occurs before marriage has taken place, then the marriage is immediately annulled. So the person officiating over the marriage would have the job to annul the marriage if he knows this stuff. Ugh. On the right, it says, if one of the pagan or Zoroastrian spouses converts to Islam, or if the woman converts to Islam while the husband is Jewish or Christian, or if both Muslim spouses or one of them apostatizes, leaves Islam, basically, then it is before consummation, the separation is hastened. And if it is after, it's suspended until the waiting period, because you have to have the waiting period to determine she is not pregnant. If they agree to Islam before the expiration of the waiting date, the marriage continues. That's pretty much what it said on the left. And it's just kind of, you sit there going, wait, they can control who gets married by Sharia. And that's just kind of, that's, I don't have a better definition of it besides ick. M7.5, if he converts to Islam after more than 4, he should choose 4 of them. What are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about the wives. Let's read it in English, the English translation by the Muslims. When a non-Muslim man has more than 4 wives, becomes Muslim, he is obliged to choose just 4 of them, and the others' marriages are annulled. Wow. I don't know of anyone besides Mormons who are really into polytheism. So you kind of wonder what pagan faith they're talking about. We can have all these wives, but there was a lot of paganism. So yeah. All right, we're moving on. We're talking about the bride's marriage payment. And they're using the word mar, and mar translates as dowry. If you could read that one on the left, Nico.
All right. The bride's marriage payment, mar. The marriage payment is the money, okay, use for this, sorry. All right, M8.1. It is sana to name the amount of suna, thank you. To name the amount of the marriage payment in the marriage agreement. To prevent discord. If it is not mentioned, it does not hurt. The validity of the marriage, though if unmentioned in the agreement, it is considered to be the amount typically received as marriage payment by similar brides. There is completely scholarly consensus on the validity of a contract that does not mention it, though it is offensive not to. Well, that's okay.
It sounds like double speak.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, so Sunnah in this book, in the Reliance of the Traveler, the translator uses the word sunnah in a different way than the rest of Islam uses it. He basically says it's lawful. Wait a minute. Sunnah, when it's used in Islam in any other context, means it's from the Hadith, it's from the Siras and the Quran. That's what it basically means. It's sunnah. All right. Okay. And they're not actually saying that. So whenever you see it's sunnah in Reliance of the Traveler, you have to stop and ask what, is this what it normally means or not? In general, in Reliance of the Traveler, you're going to see it used incorrectly. And the translator is the one who makes a statement saying he creates his own definition. So this is kind of, yeah. M8.1, it says it is recommended to name him in the contract because it is more effective in preventing litigation. So you're married and the Muslim man doesn't want his name in the contract. Do you think he wants out? Why would you get married and your Muslim husband's name or your husband's name not be on the contract? I mean, would you be saying, what's going on here? Why didn't you sign? Why isn't his name anyplace? Why is it only your name? Who did you marry? Nobody? It's recommended to name him? I don't know what to say here. We do have, we can go back to Syria and or Afghanistan, you can see what Sharia really looks like. It says, if he is not mentioned, it does not harm the validity of the marriage. It makes you think, what exactly are they doing by leaving his name out? If the contract does not include him, then it is referred to the dower of his peers, and omitting him from it is permissible by the consensus, but with dislike. Really? Guys, I want you to think about this. Would you allow your sister to get married and she tells you the marriage license won't have his name on it? Yeah. I would be freaking out as the big brother. I probably want to go punch the guy in the face. What do you mean you're not putting your name on the marriage line? Are you married to someone else? Are you secretly married to someone? Have you not told her about this? Is that why you're not putting your name on there? Doesn't this raise all sorts of bells and whistles? Nico, you probably have why would this guy not put his name on the marriage contract?
I'm stumped, to be honest with you. You got me here.
You know what I think the answer is? He wants to divorce her and walk away with whatever he got from the dowry. That's it. What are they going to say? Well, they're going to try and get the dowry back, but he's already got the dowry. And as they say, possessions is 9/10 of the law. But now they can't prove that she gave it to him, or the parents can't prove they gave him a dowry because his name is no place on the contract. But that's okay. That's disgusting. It's like leaving the girls high and dry. Yeah. All right. M8.2.
No
a
pun.
Guardian may not. I'm going to have you read the right side. Think about this one. A guardian may not marry his prepubescent daughter to someone for less than the amount typically received as marriage payment by similar brides, nor marry his prepubescent son to a female who was given more than the amount typically received. So the little girl, who's like 6 years old, he says he can't marry her for less. So you can't basically sell off your daughter and expect less than you would if you married off your 17-year-old daughter. You expect the same payment. Maybe Muslims might pay more because she's a little girl. And it reminds, they might make them think of being like Muhammad. I don't know. This is disgusting. Okay, Nico, can you read the M8.2 on the right?
He does not marry his prepubescent young daughter for less. The son of the like dowry, nor his young son with more than the like dowry. If he does so, the specified amount is void and the like dowry is obligatory, in both cases for the validity of the marriage.
So a young prepubescent son can be given to a young prepubescent girl can be given to a prepubescent son. You could establish a contract between first cousins, basically, saying you're going to marry a 6-year-old girl. She's going to marry you had a young 10-year-old or whatever prepubescent boy that hasn't entered puberty. I mean, the 6-year-old that he's born, they're going to make a contract, but you expect that certain amount of money that you get if she, whatever age she normally would get married. Ugh. Again, we're talking about children having sex. And, yeah. This is disgusting. And this is in their law. Ugh. All right. Can you read the left 8.3, please?
Okay. Nor many a foolhardy man marry a woman for more than the amount typically received as marriage payment by similar brides.
Now, this is interesting. I kind of, if I'm looking at the left, it says, nor may a foolhardy man marry a woman for more than the amount typical. So if the woman's parents are getting paid or if she's getting paid in some way for marrying, okay, you got a guy who's going to need to be taken care of the rest of his life. I mean, she's going to have to physically take care of him, maybe wipe his butt. I don't know. She's not too bright. She's going to make sure he doesn't spend all the money. She's going to be the one in charge of the money, so he's not shown as a foolhardy fool. You'd think she'd want to be paid more. She's working harder. Yeah, and she knows she's going to be thought as an idiot because she married a fool. I don't know. Yeah. M8.3 on the right in the Google Translate version. The foolish and slave shall not marry for more than the dowry of his peers. You're not going to pay them off for more money. This is just...
Okay, so now we're getting down to what's going on here. All right.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. So, foolhardy man, slave. Fantastic. All right. Got it.
Yeah. It just makes you think. Yeah. All right.
This is kind of sort of like, in essence, where Muslims can steal from each other, but to steal from the kafir is halal, kind of thing.
But they do, because they lie to each other. They deceive each other all the time. In this country, over here in the United States, we have many inner city stores. And most of them, since Muslims have been coming over here since 2001, they really, really have taken over most inner city corner stores. And they basically are cheating each other in the store. And of course, they're cheating the kafir as well. Yeah, they're cheating the non-Muslim like mad. Your local soda in the United States probably costs about $1 at a store. Maybe $1.20, $5, maybe at the most. But in These corner stores, it might be $2 to $3. So, yeah, this is a huge difference in pricing. It's highly inflated. And, it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or not, you're getting cheated in one of these places. That's a horrible statement, but it's actual reality. All right. M8.4 says anything that may be lawfully used as a price, again, we're talking about the dowry, may be given as a marriage payment. It may be paid immediately or deferred, and may be an individual article, a financial obligation, or the use or benefit of something. So, if you have livestock, can it be used to pay the dowry? Yes. If you have gold, can it be used to pay the dowry? Yes. This kind of makes some sense. Anything that may be lawfully used as a price. Yeah, to pay the price. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Nico, you want to read 8.5 on the left?
All right. The bride possesses the marriage payment when it has been expressly stipulated in the marriage agreement, whether validity stipulated or invalidly. If valid, she owns the amount stated, while if invalid, she owns the amount typically received as marriage payment by similar brides. She may dispose of it when she accepts it, and her ownership of it is finalized with her husband when her husband has sexual intercourse with her, after which none of it is refundable, or when one of them dies before they have had intercourse.
So this is her getting she is receiving the money, all right? And this is basically it. She doesn't really get to the contract isn't fulfilled until she's fulfilled her wifely duty, I guess is the way to do it, of having sex with her husband. She can't, she could probably walk away at that point, but she can't be, she wouldn't be able to take it, or her parents would. And you sit there wondering who's getting this money sometimes. Keep talking about the dowry. Are the parents getting paid, or is it the woman getting paid? And it's not always the same, but a lot of times it is the parent. And in the Google Translate, it says, and he owns it by naming, i.e., which means, for example, mentioning it in the body of the contract, whether it is correct or invalid. The correct naming means owning the named thing. Oh, so if his name is there and her name is there, that means he owns her. Oh, so maybe when the guy didn't want his name there, he didn't want to be known as being married to the woman, or that she would be. There's a whole lot of other questions that can come in here. Yeah. And then it says, and in the invalid naming, he owns the dowry. And you dispose of it by taking possession. So who takes possession of the dowry? That's the woman or the parents. And it is settled by entering, entering into a sexual relationship, so nothing's dropped of it, or by the death of one of them before entering. Wow. It sounds perverted, but yeah.
Yep.
I was surprised their terminology is very, very vulgar. But, it's Islam. We've got to expect it. All right. M8.6, you want to read the top? Okay.
If payable immediately, the bride may refuse to have sexual intercourse until her husband gives her the marriage payment. Though if she allows him to have intercourse with her before she accepts the amount, she may no longer refuse to have intercourse. Okay, but may demand the amount. All right.
Let's think about this. Wait. She can refuse if she hasn't got her payment, right? But if she allows him to have sex with her before she's received anything, she has to continually put out. This is just, oh, wait a minute. How many times does she have to? Oh, she has to every time he wants it. Yeah.
Right.
What if he hasn't paid and he's like a week behind? Well, too bad for her. What about a month down the road? Well, too bad for her. How about a year down the road? This says he has a right to her. Oh, boy. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. This is just so nasty.
And it just begs the question of what kind of quote unquote marriage are we talking about here? Are we talking about marriage, or Muslim marriage? But given everything that we're
talking about, are we talking about sex for a few minutes? What are we talking about?
Yeah, but even in that case, even if we're talking about let's call it regular marriage, so to speak. Does it even? All the stuff that they're talking about. Would you even compare this to what we consider marriage? Thinking about. Sorry.
The dowry used to be a normal thing in Europe and around the world. Dowries used to be a normal thing. Today, that's not.
Right, but the way all these stipulations and this is not comparable to European, at least.
Oh, no. You're not paying for sex. In each of these cases in Islam, you're paying for sex.
Exactly.
This is why prostitution is such a high rate down there, but they won't admit to it because, of course, there's got to be witnesses. 4 witnesses. Yeah, well, it's like, I'm going to be doing a show with Dr. Lloyd de Jong, and this guy had said in the video that he basically is like, well, Christians don't have to be concerned about Sharia, and he talked about rape, how there has to be, multiple witnesses. Well, none of them are allowed to be the woman who was raped because she has to have 4 witnesses before she can bring charges. Wait a minute. If you're the victim, you need a witness. Oh, you got to have. So there's supposed to be 4 male witnesses there. Really? You think a guy that does rape someone is purposely going to look out? And what if he finds there's only 3 people there? Does he care? He can rape her. There's 3 people there. They can never charge him with a crime. All right. This is the insanity of this situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and since you brought it up, I want to make a comparison, just in case Muslims are listening and trying to run off with that. That comparison between this mess and traditional European dowry marriage. Traditionally, up until, let's say, the mid 20th century of America, traditionally the man was the bread earner. He had the wealth, and a dowry for a woman, it wasn't a bribe or some kind of sultry exchange like we're reading here, like in mass media wants to portray, because it wants to destroy traditionalism in Christianity specifically, not traditionalism when it comes to Islam or Buddhism or anything like that, but when it comes to Christian tradition, then there's a problem. But the dowry was intended to help establish the home. Like, let's say a man is not wealthy. Well, a dowry is, what are we talking about? We're talking about some dishes, some clothing, something to help you get started. And so it's not like what we're reading here, some kind of filthy exchange for marriage, and the woman is a slave like mass media wants to portray, or any of that effect, but an arrangement to help a young couple get started as a young family. That's it.
And yeah, and today the tradition continues in many families where a young girl is given a chest at a certain age.
Right.
They call it a hope chest. The girl will, at some point, with the parents' involvement, they'll get her, like china, her first set of china. She'll get sheets for the bed, for the marriage bed someday. Little collections of things that are made for that day, someday down the road. And I believe both my sisters had hope chests. So I remember, discussions about things that would go in there. I remember my sister, pretty sure I remember them each getting a set of china. Yeah, I mean, those things happen. But it was never a payment for, there was no money exchanged. It's just kind of disgusting. Yeah. And that's what it really is. This is all about payment for sex, not payment for marriage.
Can I bring scripture? Let's do a comparison. Yes. Okay, cool.
Which one do you want to pull in?
I got Corinthians 6:15.
Okay, just a second.
I've got it on my share if you want to, but that's King James version, so not too
I
many
can pull
people.
It up.
All right.
Just let me just find my mouse here. Here we go. All right, and what is it?
Corinthians chapter 6. We can do. Yes, First Corinthians. Yes.
Okay.
Starting at verse 15. This might open a can of worms, but you can see the night difference.
Yeah. Know you not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them the members of a harlot? God forbid. What know you not that which he is joined to a harlot is one day? For two, says one he, shall be one flesh. Yeah. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. And there it is. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man does is without the body, but he that commits fornication sins against his own body. Yeah. Get married first, then sex later. Okay? That's as simple as it is.
Yeah, let me read that next line. It's, what know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and not of your own. So, I mean, you're basically honoring God as you're honoring each other in marriage, only to each other. I mean, if you read the next chapter, it talks about virginity, and in the case where, but even then, and just in marriage, where all these things where you belong to each other in marriage, you're not expected to do these separations or nothing that effect. It's repeated over and over again. You're one body. You're sanctified through marriage. You're expected to be pure when you enter it, and remain pure in chastity and loyal to each other. Completely different than what we're reading here. In the case of the Sharia law and Islam. 9 day difference.
And this is just, I mean, yeah, it's night and day. It's kind of mind numbing how awful some of this is. And I think I'm here. Yeah, we're almost done. All right. If you would like to read the left side, please.
Okay. Oops, sorry, let me enlarge it. All right. If the couple is separated by having annulled the marriage before intercourse because of an act on the bride's part, as when she becomes a Muslim, and the husband remains non-Muslim, she leaves Islam, and the husband remains Muslim. Sorry, what the heck? This is like, I can hear the Benny Hill music. Then she is not entitled to any of the marriage payment. But if it is because of an act on the husband's part, as when he becomes Muslim, leaves Islam, or divorces her, then she receives only half of the marriage payment. Or the husband, or I'm sorry, I'm laughing. This is horrible, I shouldn't be laughing. Or the husband may ask for half of it back, if she has already accepted it, provided the article given as payment still exists. If it does not, he receives half of the lowest market value of similar articles between the time of the marriage agreement and when the article ceased to exist. If the article was diminished while in the bride's possession, the husband has a choice between taking it back in its defective condition or accepting half of its value. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what this means.
All right. So on the right, this is the Google Translate. If a separation occurs on her part before consummation, she's thinking, "This guy's nuts. I need to get away. This guy's dangerous." So she separates and she converts to Islam, and the husband remains a disbeliever. Okay, marriage is done. All right. If the husband or the wife becomes leaves Islam, the marriage is over. That's what this is talking about. First of all, if both of them are not Muslim, I mean, this is control over the non-Muslim in this situation. And that's the thing to think about. The Muslims will tell you not to marry, and this comes straight out of Sharia. I mean, he can divorce her based on this too. You know, if he becomes Muslim or leaves Islam or divorces her, are you catching all this? I mean, if it's grounds for an annulment, it's going to be grounds for a divorce. If she takes possession of it, it remains with her original state. Otherwise, its value is halved. This is, again, talking about the dowry. The lesser of what it was from the time of the contract, that's that contract. Now, if the contract is lost, now you got to start thinking, really, if you lose your wedding certificate, marriage certificate, you can go get a new one. You really can. It doesn't mean you're divorced. It does not. Yeah. It's like they think, well, the paper's gone, so we're no longer married. Boy, I've heard people say marriage is just a piece of paper. No, it's much more. And this is like putting faith in the paper, is what it looks like. Do you agree with that, Nico?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And going back to this whole price talking, this price and price and price. I mean, it's clearly here a financial arrangement for muta, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, and so again, what
Well,
we just read, sorry,
in the beginning, it wouldn't be muta because she's leaving him before they convert, before one of them converts to Islam.
Hey, hey. But you know what we just read, like when these letters, when New Testament talks about the price that was paid in these situations, and it mentions that, and I intentionally left that out because it's a can of worms that's arguable. But when I speak to you without even saying anything, Paul, when I speak to you as a Christian, I'm talking about the New Testament. I say when the price was paid. What am I talking about?
Talking about the blood that was spilled.
Exactly. Whoop, there it is. I mean, that's all I had to say to Paul. I knew exactly what all the context. If we read scripture, we can read the context and see what, give you the proof of show you what he's saying. When we talk about price, we're talking about the sacrifice of Jesus Christ for our salvation, something spiritual, for our well-being. We're not talking about a financial transaction for a sexual exchange. I mean, it's insane the difference between the two.
Well, this is a group of people that have no concept of the concept of atonement, where Jesus would pay a price for sin for them. No concept of that. And that's, I think, one of the most, when I've talked to Usama and many others, Usama drives this point home. There is nothing in Islam that explains what a sacrifice is. We've gone through the entire section of Hajj, and they talked about sacrifices. But their concept of a sacrifice is simply a meal. You cut the animal up and you eat it, or you give it away as food. There's no payment for sin in a sacrifice. It's never there. They talk about they say that Ishmael was to be a sacrifice for sin. I mean, to be a sacrifice for Abraham. But if you read the Quran, it has to be Isaac. That's in the Quran. But again, no mention of the purpose being, again, about sin. They don't talk about that ever. It's totally hidden. There is no place in all of Islam where they talk, in any of their scriptures, where they talk about sin being covered by a sacrifice. There's no place at all. They don't have any concept. Our concept of a sacrifice is totally different than theirs. Their concept is a feast. Hey, we're doing a sacrifice of Jerry out there. Jerry's the big bull, you know, okay. We're going to sacrifice him, and okay, everybody come on over for the party. And if the Christians and Jews did a sacrifice, and Christians don't have a reason to. If the Jews did a sacrifice, there would be a lot of repentance. There'd be praise. There'd be a lot of things. But a feast, maybe later. But there'd be a lot of, thinking about, this is not their concept of, they don't have a concept of sacrifice. This is the controlling of definitions that we see in their language. In their faith structure, they continue to desire to control language, because if they do that, they can hide Jesus' sacrifice.
Even the Passover, at least as is continued, as we say in Pascha and traditional Christianity, like even that, I was converted to a thing of reflection of atonement.
Yes.
For that price that was paid.
And again, they don't have anything like that in their belief structure. So it's very hard for them to grasp the meaning, grasp the word sacrifice, atonement. I've given up trying to use words that big with Muslims. I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm not saying, I just think that what they've been taught is so errant that it's very, very difficult. I'm going to, we're going to finish early.
Yeah.
So let's finish this up.
Sorry, yeah. I'll leave it to me to derail, but yeah, just one more note on that. Yeah,
okay.
Yes, I brought that up just to highlight that even in this, the Passover is a somber celebration from what I've observed. I could be wrong, but I'm not Jewish. I don't know, but it seems like a very somber, even in their tradition. But this is also a long feast, so this is a very festive thing. Yet again, through Christ, this price that was paid, it's all about atonement, all about spiritual, but not worldly, nothing. Just you compare the two, and when you do that, you just want to wash your hands of this nonsense that we're reading. Sorry, I'll stop now.
Yeah. This is I want to go back to that marriage thing. There's, again, when we covered the Hajj, and we did that amusingly during the month of Hajj, which I find amusing. God is funny. And there was all the talk about sacrifice. All of it had to do with feasting and eating, or feeding the poor. Yeah, eating. Their sacrifices are given to the poor. There is no consuming fire that envelops their, they don't have a concept of it, which is sad. All right, we're going to go on. I think this is one of the last ones. I'll read the one on the left because it's really small. The amount typically received as marriage payment by similar brides. I kind of get the concept of y'all paying maybe the same amount for a girl, maybe, so you have a ballpark figure of how much you should pay. If we look at it today, let's try and think of it like this. It's my nicest thing I can say about this. Guys, if you're supposed to go get an engagement ring, there's some rules about getting an engagement ring. Well, how much money do you have and earn is taken into consideration. We don't usually think of an engagement ring as something that the woman is going to receive as a payment, and that she should receive the same type of ring that somebody else received. We don't think like that. But if you start looking at it that way, that's my best way to compare it. Can you imagine if girls usually received an engagement ring with a diamond, and they're all pleased and happy if they're all the same size and it was less than a whole carat? Would we all be happy, Ben? You know, it would be a lot cheaper world out there. Uh, yeah. You got 0.2 carats. Okay, yeah, okay, we're happy now. Yeah, if we could get away with that, yeah. But that's unfortunately not the reality. So the amount typically received as a marriage payment by similar brides means that which would be desirable to a woman like her. A woman like the bride under normal circumstances, like her, meaning a woman of her relatives resembling her in such characteristics as age, intelligence, beauty, wealth, being virgin or non-virgin, and in having the same hometown. So all these girls in the same area, in the same clan, they're worth this amount called X, because they're all these girls that have the same amount of same age, their same intellect, same amount of beauty, same wealth, virgin or non-virgin. These are all okay. They all have that same value. Her relatives, I mean, it's putting a price on a girl. It's like you're buying a slave. Oh, wait a minute. Don't guys in Islam own their wives? Yeah, isn't this what we're talking about? You're paying for the wife. Yeah, a woman in it. This is I'll just leave it like that. No matter what we're going to read on this section, you are paying for your wife here, and you're paying the average price.
Yeah, the market price thing kills me. What isn't that like kind of revealing that culture there and all this slave driving that we're talking about, the market price?
And then okay, over here on the right, it says her agnates. No, I had to go look up that word. Agnates. So basically, her kin, all right, the kinfolk, the folk from the common, her kinfolk of the same age, intellect, beauty, wealth, marriage, virginity, whatever. This is like your average. What will be legal terminology today? Fair market value. Her fair market value is what we're talking about. Yeah. So if you got a woman, she's shaped just like so. She's a smart girl. She has more than a 6th grade education. Oh, this one went to. So all these girls went to college. They're going to be, and if they're that cute, that size, okay, they're all going to be worth this much. So you now know you have to pay that much. Wow. Sounds like you're buying a slave to me. Yeah. Like I said, I had to go look up the word agnates. I had a clue, but it kind of surprised me. All right, I think we only got a couple more. All right, we're going to do, yeah. Can you read the one on the left there, please, Nico? All right.
When a husband is unable to pay the marriage payment. M8.9. When the husband proves financially unable to give his wife the marriage payment, it has not been deferred before the first time they have sexual intercourse, then the bride may annul the marriage, though if he proves unable afterwards, she may not. Okay? If husband and wife disagree in court when either side has proof, okay, as to whether he has given her the marriage payment, then the wife's word is accepted over the husband's.
That's probably the first time and only time in their whole lives. Yep.
But if they disagree as to whether they have had sexual intercourse, okay, the husband's word is accepted over the wife's. I'm biting my tongue there.
Okay, so he says, yeah, okay, guys are known for boasting when they have not done anything. Oh, so you're trusting him. Well, I thought you had to have 4 or 5 witnesses. 4 witnesses. He doesn't. He only has himself, but that's okay. Yeah. There was a tradition in some European cultures where the consummation had to be witnessed.
Oy vey. Ah,
Yeah.
gross.
You'll hear about it. It was more of royal culture, I believe, in some just to verify the consummation, because and part of the reasoning with that is we have these cousin marriages happening. And I'm picking on the Europeans while I'm saying this. And she might be a queen. I mean, she might be a princess from another country that's a cousin, and if they don't consume the marriage, she's going home. And that's the kind of reasoning.
Yeah, or West Virginia. I'm picking on Americans when I say that. I
go. I don't think they would need a. Well, you don't know. I mean, there's some cultures probably. I don't know. I don't have that much family down there that I know of.
Don't fear the trolls.
All right. On the right, I mean, just think about this. If the husband deceives her, this is. Did you notice on the left it didn't say he deceived her? He says proves financially unable to give the wife marriage payment. On the right, the translation from Google says if the husband deceives her with a dowry before the consummation, so he pretended to pay her. She thought she was paid, but he's a thief. Then she has the right to deceive him. Oh, wait a minute. What? If he deceives her after, then she does not have the right to. Oh, we're talking about.
Say.
Okay, we're all talking about sex again. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and I'm trying to not say anything about the very last line. Or maybe I'm not going to say. I'm still biting my tongue. I mean, just yeah. I'm just not going to do it. I just
realize if they disagree about the payment of the dowry, then her word is to be taken. If they disagree about intercourse, then his word is to be taken. Yeah, where's your 4 witnesses? Yeah, you want to see someone witness your consummation. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually had someone paid to watch the act. Paid to be observed.
Wow. I'm going to have to wash my brain after this one. It's impossible.
Yeah. All right, I think this is the last one. Yeah. I'll do this. A man is obliged to pay a woman the amount typically received. Okay, so again, her fair market value as marriage payment by similar brides. Again, fair market value when the marriage was consummated, when the marriage was invalid, or when a man forces a woman to fornicate with him. Wait a minute, what are we talking about? Muta? Wait, a man is obliged to pay a woman the amount typically received as marriage payment by similar brides. That's that fair market value when the marriage was consummated but invalid. Wait, are they married or not? It's constant. Wait, you went. Marriage was valid, but it's not valid because you consummated it. It's invalid. Okay. When a man forces a woman to fornicate with him, when a woman voluntarily fornicates with a man, she does not receive any marriage payment. So you can have muta and not pay her anything. Is that what they're saying? Now let's take a look what it says in Google Translate. Whoever has sexual intercourse with a woman under suspicion or in a corrupt marriage or commits adultery while she is forced, he must pay a dower similar to that of her peers. But if she consents to adultery, she's not entitled to anything. Oh. And this has to do with committing adultery. You wouldn't know that from reading the statement above. So this would be, having intercourse with someone who is already a bride to somebody else. Yeah. Nasty, nasty stuff. And now you know why it's the book of bleep, and it is not the book of marriage.
Wow.
All right. So some exciting news. You can definitely support what I'm doing by going to Amazon or some other source and purchasing the books. There are actually 4 books coming out. There's going to be 2 books of Genesis and 2 books of Exodus. Hopefully we'll be out in time for Christmas. So I do know that they are coming out. I'm not sure of the exact colors of the covers, but they will be out, I believe, in time for Christmas. We'll see. Actually, that's only a week away, so maybe it'll be just after Christmas. But just to prove the interior of the books, just waiting for the covers, and kind of excited. So we'll have new books out there, and yeah, this is this is a tough topic. I don't know how people can follow. I mean, how to? I mean, we're going through this slowly, and I'm looking at this one guy who's saying we have nothing to fear about Islam. Really? Did you know they can tell you if you can be married or not? Really, did you think that you're okay and that the Muslims won't kill you? Do you know what hijra is? I mean, I can go on and on and on for all this stuff. Do you know that your 6-year-old daughter is allowable to be married and have, and that she can have sex as soon as she enters puberty? Really, you're okay with those things according to Islam's law? Oh, we have nothing to fear. Okay, the guy moves next to you, and he's a definite submitter to Islam, and he loves Muhammad, and he wants to be just like him. And if you know Sharia, are you concerned about your 6-year-old daughter? I would be.
Yeah, I mean, people. Sorry, go ahead.
Yo, you keep going.
I was just going to say, people who make those claims. I mean, I get the wanting to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I mean, there's so many. For example, in all fairness, there are so many that when they do find these truths about Islam that they were unaware of before, they leave Islam at the very least, and then generally come to Christianity. But there's so many that are just straight out deceivers. That, I mean, long story short, how can you, if you're living in any predominantly Muslim land, Islamic land, not be aware of all the violence that takes place because of Islam and still make that kind of statement? You have nothing to fear from Islam.
Okay, let's take a look at Syria. What is in Syria is actually happening? You have Muslims killing Muslims, and Muslims only can have dictators as rulers, because otherwise, if you have an elected person, then you have a democracy, and it's not a Sharia compliant government. Oh, then you have people making laws that aren't. Oh, yeah. So once you have people making laws and rules, they're not Sharia compliant. So yeah, like really, and you got to allow those first cousin marriages, because that makes Muhammad happy, that make Allah happy. Yeah, I'm still kind of mind numbed about that little video. Did you catch the video? I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I can't. I just showed up when you saw me.
Oh, so yeah, we talked about the first cousin marriages in the UK that they're trying to outlaw.
Oh,
and
wow.
I don't know if you saw that. Yeah.
No.
That's a statement of shock that they didn't. I mean, the honest truth was the guy who presented the law said he was totally unaware that it was legal in the UK, first cousin marriages. And I don't know that it is or isn't legal here, because I don't think most people, I don't know if there's a law against it, but I'm pretty sure that it might be referred to as incest here in the United States.
Yeah, there are some. I imagine that depends on the state, but I know there's states that do prohibit that. It is against the law, and all these other things that we talked about.
Yeah, and these are laws that would be referred to, by individual states. That's just the way the United States works. It's done by state. Start thinking about protecting your children, though. I mean, if you understand Sharia, it helps you protect yourself, helps you protect others, and it helps you to here's the thing I think that that helps interesting. I mean, it provokes conversations when you know more about Islam rules and stuff than the Muslims themselves. They don't know why they pray the way they do because it's not in the Quran, it's not in the Hadith, and you can say, yeah, I know it's not there, and they'll say, what do you mean you know it's not there? Where can you find it? And you say, oh, I've read exactly how you're supposed to pray. Yeah, you're doing that right. Just don't fart. Yeah. I mean, I encourage Muslims to read Sharia. I encourage them to read all of Islamic scripture. Why? Because as Nico had just said, they read Sharia. They find the harshness of what their faith teaches, and they can't wait to leave. Met a gentleman who left Islam because he realized how women were treated in Islam by Muhammad, how cruel he was, and what a misogynist he is. And I'm again even using that word on the great example of perversion. I don't think of another guy. I think that's the best title for him, the great example of perversion. Would you agree with that, Nico?
The greatest perverter? I don't know. Oh, there you go. Greatest perverter.
The greatest pervert of all time. I can think of, there's an actor that I used to think was the greatest pervert until I learned about Muhammad. Woody Allen. That's who I used to think was the greatest pervert of all time. And now I look at Muhammad as it's impossible to beat him. But yeah. I'm going to say good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Nico, any last words?
Again, apologies for showing up late. It looks like I missed something going on. I'm going to watch the rest of it afterward. But I mean, I'll just leave it at that. I think, I just want to wash. I just want to run to the shower.
I'm gonna go take a shower afterwards. Yeah. And we've got more. We've got more to go. I just couldn't handle any more than we covered tonight. God bless everybody. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me just related. Just Matthew 24. Blessed are those who endure to the end. This too shall come to pass. Hang in there. Keep your noose.
Keep praying for Muslims. Keep praying for the Muslims. Share with the Muslims what you're learning. We want them to hear about the greatness of Christ. We want them to hear about the superiority of Christ compared to this. I mean, the truth is Muhammad is a title. It's not a name. And Muhammad's name is never once mentioned by his God. How can he be a prophet? And if you read the Quran, you find out prophets only are from Israel. Oh, so Muhammad, again, this is in the Quran. Find it. Read the Quran. Get people to read the Quran. Get the Muslims to read the Quran so they will leave Islam. God bless everybody. Say good night. See you soon.
God bless.